Welcome you to the House and Senate joint meeting on economic development and workforce investment. Some housekeeping issues. All members, make sure your phones are silenced, as well as audience members. And does any member have a guest they'd like to recognize while we're here? Okay. Seeing none, Sasha, please call the roll.
Representative Baker. Here. Representative Bauman.
Present.
Representative Bratcher. Here. Representative Callaway.
Here.
Representative Camuel.
Here.
Representative Duval.
Here.
Representative Elliott. Representative Gentry. Representative Jackson.
Present.
Representative King.
Present.
Representative Kulkarni. Representative Lawrence. Representative Lockett. Representative Pratt. Representative Sharp. Representative Tackett Lafferty. Representative Truitt.
Here.
Representative Huff.
Here.
Chairman Branscombe.
Here.
Senator Boswell. Senator Funky Fromeyer. Senator Gardler. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Howell. Senator Mills. Here. Senator Storm.
Here.
Senator Thomas. Here. Senator Wilson.
Here.
Senator Wheeler. Here. Chairman Wise.
Present.
We do have a quorum. Members, first up today will be Senate Bill 299, and this will be for discussion only. And that is Leader Damon Thayer, Senator Thayer, and Speaker Osborne. Good morning.
Morning, Chairman Branscombe, Chairman Wise, members of the committee. I'm Damon Thayer, State Senator, District 17. I'll let my guests introduce themselves.
Good morning, David Osborne, District 59.
Good morning, Representative Matt Cook, District 72.
Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate the joint nature of this committee so we can brief in a bicameral way the issue behind Senate Bill 299. Members of the Senate will be familiar with the concept, as I had a floor amendment that was adopted and passed with Senate Bill 3 recently on the Senate floor. That amendment would have put the Racing Commission under the Agriculture Department. The Senate committee substitute that will hopefully be considered later by members of the Senate version of this committee keeps that line of thinking, but it makes the Horse Racing Commission a completely separate and independent agency, much like the Kentucky Lottery Commission or the Public Service Commission. So it would not be connected to the Department of Agriculture. So you can put that aside. It is not included in this bill. When I moved to Kentucky 32 years ago to work in the horse racing industry, I started working with the Racing Commission when I would represent my employer, Turfway Park, in Racing Commission meetings. So I've been working in and around and with the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission since the administration of the late Governor Brereton C. Jones. And then when I worked in Lexington at the Breeders' Cup, and the Breeders' Cup ran at Churchill Downs during my tenure there, I worked with the Racing Commission. And then when I was elected to the Senate, I've worked with the Racing Commission in its role as the regulatory agency for the Kentucky Breeders' Incentive Fund, which I got included in Governor Ernie Fletcher's tax reform plan back in 2005. I've long thought that the Racing Commission should be an independent agency, like the Lottery Commission and the Public Service Commission. And now that the Racing Commission has jurisdiction over sports betting, and then, of course, with the passage of Senate Bill 120 a few years ago, it has jurisdiction over the historical horse racing machines at our racetracks. There is a lot of restricted fund money going through that agency. Under the proposal that the Speaker is going to discuss in the proposed committee sub, the Horse Racing Commission the members would still be appointed by the governor. But, and this is the key part of the bill, in my estimation, future members would need to be confirmed by the Senate. And that is a critical point. Having been a member of the Senate now I'm in my 22nd year, that step that the Racing Commission doesn't have right now is important because Senate confirmation requires a higher degree of scrutiny than boards that are not confirmed by the Senate. We do a complete state police background check. The conferees are required to come before a Senate committee where members of the committee review their entire application if they've indeed passed that state police background check. Members of the committee can then ask questions of the conferees. It is a higher level of scrutiny that I think it's time the Racing Commission has because of the amount of money going through that agency. By the way, just quick review. I'll remind everyone that the HHR games, the parimutuel games at our racetracks, are still in the introductory and growth stages and are a growing source of revenue for the general fund. Over $100 million this fiscal year will flow to the general fund. And the sports betting bill is a self-effectuating bill that pays for its own regulation, but also funds the Kentucky Public Pension Fund as well as the Problem Gaming Council. So I think it's time, and this is something I've been thinking about a long time, but in this town you have to wait for the right opportunity. And I saw that opportunity with Senate Bill 3. It's like that old Steve Winwood song, Representative Huff, while you see a chance, take it. And I did, and I brought the issue into the consciousness of Frankfort and received a lot of support for that amendment from my caucus. Then the speaker called me over to his office a few days later and said, I like your proposal, but I think I can make it better. And of course, I live in the land of Toyota, and they operate under the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, which is continuous improvement. And I've received the speaker's suggestions with an open heart and an open mind, and that brings us to where we are today. So I've talked about the concept of why I feel like it's time that the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission be a separate agency, and I'm going to turn things over to Speaker Osborne and Representative Cook to talk specifically about the proposal enumerated within the Senate Committee substitute to Senate Bill 299.
Thank you, Leader Thayer, for that very brief summary.
And as always, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate your very snarky response to my not so brief comments.
You're welcome.
But I've got it teed up for you.
You do. To tag on to much of what Leader Thayer said, yeah, the topic of the structure of the Racing Commission has been a topic of conversation going back for years, long before I got to the legislature. My first experience with it when I got to the legislature was when then Governor Ernie Fletcher in 2004, I believe it was, completely abolished the Racing Commission and replaced it with the Kentucky Horse Racing Authority. Because the members of the existing commission would not resign. Subsequent to that, Governor Steve Beshear reconstituted the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission, and it's gone through multiple iterations over the years. Which it was one thing when we were contemplating live horse racing. Not that it made it right, but it made it different when we were contemplating live horse racing that was handling, $200-300 million a year at that point in time. We have made the decision in this legislature over the last several years to change the nature of gambling in Kentucky. Whether you're for that or against that, I think that everyone acknowledges the importance of regulating it appropriately and free of political influence, free from the appearance of impropriety, subject to strict standards, strict background checks, strict ethics laws, And it appeared that that the best way to accomplish that was to actually separate it into an independent operating group, as Damon said, similar to the Lottery Commission. By and large, Kentucky has been relatively slow to adapt to lots of expanded gaming areas, but when we have, we've always regulated very well, and that has kept us free of much of the scandal, much of the corruption that is present in other gambling states and other gambling venues. So I think it's important to keep that way. Just to go through the highlights of the bill, and I do appreciate Mr. Chairman's. Thank you for convening this joint meeting, because this is a voluminous bill. It's 282 pages right now, and it is one that makes a major policy shift. So it's one that we want to make sure is aired properly. While the bill is 282 pages, there's really only about 30 pages of substantive meat of the bill. And namely, it starts with establishes the Horse Racing and Gaming Corporation. Previous to this act, it is attached to the Public Protection Cabinet for administrative purposes only. The jurisdiction will remain the same: live horse racing, parimutuel wagering, and all matters related to the integrity of and development of the horse breed and sports wagering. It is not intended, as some have feared, it is not intended to regulate horse sales, licensed breeders, or conflict with federal law, namely the USDA or the Horse Racing Integrity and Safety Act. The effective date of it will be July 1, 2025. The Department of Charitable Gaming will move into the effective July 1, 2025, the Department of Charitable Gaming will move into the next into this entity. Wanted to, at the request of Charitable Gaming, at the request of the administration, we felt like that was an issue that created some unique problems that might want to be discussed further than where we are in this bill. So we are delaying the implementation of bringing the Department of Charitable Gaming in, and over the next year we will study that and continue to consult with the administration and the Department of Charitable Gaming to bring them in the most effective and efficient manner. The corporation will be run by a board of directors, and the initial board of directors will consist of the current commissioners. Each of those will stay in place for 2 years to promote consistency and assist with corporation setup. All of those members of the commission are currently appointed by this governor, and beginning in 2026, the directors will again be appointed by the governor, but they will be drawn from specific backgrounds of expertise. Right now, there are no qualifications for the commissioners. There's also nothing in statute that would prevent the board from being, or the commission from being abolished and reconstituted at any given time. But going forward, after 2 years, the broader base will represent trainers, breeders, vets, members of the gaming community that bring particular expertise and technical side of gambling and gaming, law enforcement, charitable gaming, and some at-large members as well. In this bill, the chair and the vice chair, which will be chosen by the governor, will be subject to Senate confirmation, as Damon noted. There are several relatively standard conflict provisions that set up bringing the corporation under the umbrella of the Ethics Commission. That will make sure that they are held to ethical standards, do not have conflicts of interest, much like we do now. It puts separation agreement or timelines on when when they would be able to work within the industry, the things that the board members would be able to do post leaving the corporation. No legislators or officers of political parties may serve on the board. Board members shall be unpaid. Again, board members and senior management will all be subject to executive branch ethics. Governor can remove any board member for bad acts or failure to act, and that person must be provided notice and reason of the opportunity for a hearing. Corporation will be subject to an annual report, and much of the language that you see in the bill are simply items that are being transferred under current statute from the existing structure to the corporate structure in almost identical fashion. So there's a lot of repeat language that you will see in the bill. The employees of the employees of the commission, which currently they're about 40, will no longer be 18A employees like the Lottery Corporation. However, they will be able to have the same health insurance, life insurance, and participate in the Kentucky retirement system, as well as deferred comp program. The president of the corporation must reside in the state of Kentucky. The president must hire a CPA and a COO. The president must be bonded and can require others of the corporation to be bonded as well. All employees shall undergo a federal background check, including fingerprints, and the corporation will have the same subpoena powers and investigative powers that they currently do, but may establish new divisions to accomplish that. While certainly not everyone that we have consulted with is 100% on board with everything that we're doing. As you can imagine, this is government, and nobody really likes change. But I will tell you that we have consulted with each of the operating racetracks in the Commonwealth, the historical horse racing machine operators, the sports betting entities, Kentucky Thoroughbred Association, Breeders' Cup, Department of Charitable Gaming, the Governor's Office, the Governor's General Counsel, and former commissioners and staff of the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission. So I do believe that there are still some ongoing conversations. I know that the Department of Charitable Gaming sent over some language this morning to tweak the phase-in language and going forward. So that will certainly be looked at as we move forward through the process. So there may be, by the time it gets through the House, there may be another committee sub in the House that will make a change or two, knowing that we wanted to go ahead and get the majority of the bill out in front of the body and the public as soon as possible. So with that, happy to entertain any questions that you all might have or discuss any other details of the bill.
Senator Funky Fromeyer.
This is quite voluminous to take in, but when I was looking at page 9, where it is addressing the charitable aspect of this, and I'm thinking of many of our Catholic church festivals, and maybe I even was at a fish fry on Friday. But what issues of charitable gaming are being addressed by this? Is there some additional issues that I'm not fully understanding that are now going to be folded in? But it also seems like a very small representation on the board that you described.
As it relates to your church festivals, things like that, it will really have no impact other than ultimately it will come in underneath the overarching umbrella of the Kentucky Horse Racing and Gaming Corporation. There will continue to be new licenses issued. There is a moratorium on the addition of new pull tab machines, and that is because of the pretty dramatic expansion of those machines and throughout the Commonwealth until we have an opportunity to study that issue a little more thoroughly.
Even if that pull tab machine, I think it said here, prevent participation in charitable gaming by criminal and other undesirable elements. That, of course, in some ways goes without saying, but the legitimate charitable purposes. How are legitimate charitable purposes going to be established? Is that part of the...
Just as they currently are right now. The Commission of Charitable Gaming will continue to operate as it does right now, and they will continue to be able to issue new licenses for your church picnics or things like that. The only thing that would be paused at this moment would be the issuance or the authorizations of new electronic pull tab machines.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Representative Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 2, I'm not sure who to direct the question to. Leader Thayer, it's your bill. I'll direct it to you, and you all can handle it however you may. But on page 12, under subsection 3, it lists five different forms of gambling there: live horse racing, pari-mutuel wagering, sports wagering, charitable gaming, and gaming. I see that the first 4 are defined in the first section of the bill, but gaming is not. Could you please define that for us, or help us understand what that looks like?
Representative Banker, I think that was specifically contemplated as a division that would regulate any additional forms of gambling that is ever authorized by the legislature would also fall under this umbrella entity and be subject to its regulation. So there wouldn't be anything operating outside the bounds of this gaming corporation. So any future gaming, whatever may happen in the future, however it may be termed, is going to be subject to this act.
May I follow up, please?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm just trying to clarify it and understand it for myself. So this would just pave the way for any expansion that they're doing in the future that would fall under that umbrella?
It wouldn't pave the way for an expansion. It would just say that if there is any future expansion that is not defined, that it would be subject to the regulation of this department and this corporation.
Okay, thank you.
Representative
And we
King.
can tighten that up if you feel like a need to.
Representative King.
Good morning. If I heard correctly, so the commission leadership will be determined by the governor rather than the membership appointing or electing their own leadership. Is that correct? And if so, what are we thinking there? What is the purpose of that?
Currently, the commission is appointed by the governor. Every member of the commission, including the chair and the vice chair, are appointed by the governor. The only thing that we are changing to that effect would be that now the members that are appointed by the governor must come from a list that bring particular expertise in certain areas. As I said, would include somebody that represents horse training, somebody that represents the breeding industry, someone that will represent the charitable gaming. So it will be actually specified industry participants that the governor must choose from, that would all be subject to background check, which they aren't currently now. And then the chair and the vice chair would be confirmed by the Senate, would have to be confirmed by the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Representative Tackett Lafferty.
Thank you. This is quite a long bill, so I appreciate the opportunity to try to ask questions. Mr. Chair, I do have 2 or 3 questions.
Let's do one at a time.
Okay. First of all, the question was answered that this does not seem to affect our church fest. How will this affect our veterans?
I don't believe it'll have any effect on any existing entities or even new licenses.
Okay, great. It seems with this reorganized structure, which I do appreciate as compared to the Senate Bill 3 structure, it does appear that we're going from a commission more toward renaming to a corporation. Will this corporation still generally perform its duties and operations here in Frankfurt? Is that the standard currently?
Yes.
Okay.
I assume it could take a much like the lottery corporation operates in Louisville. I assume that they could assume new offices and a new location, but that's not contemplated.
Okay. Does this transfer or renaming, restructuring, is that going to affect any type of immunities that the current commission may currently have? Do they currently have immunities that will or will not transfer when we reorganize to a corporation?
It's going to be a question for council. Hang on just a second, Ashley. Allow me to consult the smart people.
Sure.
Thank you for the question. I think that I assume you're asking the question related to immunities under the Supreme Court's case in North Carolina Dental. Mm-hmm. That case doesn't. The issue that arose there is when individuals who are serving on government boards and agencies act in a certain way, they receive some portion of sovereign immunity. The North Carolina dental case simply said that if you're acting in a way that violates federal antitrust laws, you're not going to be subject to those same immunities. And so I think that's a different question. So if the folks that are acting now aren't necessarily getting government immunity for bad acts, they're not going to get government immunity for bad acts in this new corporation either.
Of course. Well, I guess my question stems from, I guess, the name corporation.
Sure.
You know, with the state, with state operations, we don't always kind of associate that with a corporation, which we sometimes think we generally are private.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
so
But
I
it's a
guess,
municipal corporation. It's defined specifically as
Okay.
one that's a public corporation. So, and then there are provisions there that deal with the procurement code and that sort of thing. But in general, that I think there's some confusion about the idea of sovereign immunity and what that case meant. But the general idea is that if you're acting in a capacity on behalf of the state, you still can't commit crimes no matter what, and you have to act appropriately and in the best interests of that organization. So I think the same is still true here.
Of course. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just asking a few questions. Like I said, this 281-page bill, I think we got it at 8:30
Did I
last
answer?
night. So,
Okay,
yes,
okay,
yes.
thank you.
And one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Chair. So it does look like on page 182, section 67, that we are moving jurisdiction out of Franklin Circuit Court to the place or county where the person works or resides. Is there a reason for... Are we moving all claims, or is it just a particular? And I'm sorry, I may be asking a question that you can just, I can meet with you later.
No, thank you. Thank you for asking the questions.
uh,
It's just an answer I can't give you, so I
That's
will
no
refer
problem.
to it's Christy Trout. She's
Thank you.
counsel in the Speaker's office.
No,
And
I
I
appreciate the time. Thank you.
Could I have a moment to go to
Well,
that?
while she's
of
looking
course,
that
of
up,
course.
there have been some questions here about membership from the Racing Commission to the corporation. And one of the things I insisted on when the speaker first called me in is that we retain the current members of the Horse Racing Commission. I think they're doing a really good job. You might be surprised to hear that from me, but I've been a fan of the work of this Kentucky Horse Racing Commission, all appointed by Governor Beshear. I think they're doing an excellent job. They did a great job with the ramp up and implementation of historical horse racing. And states around the country are looking to us with envy on the implementation of sports betting. So I insisted that we keep the current leadership in place, and I'm really pleased that the speaker agreed to keep that in the bill. I think that's important for continuity. There haven't been any problems over there, and they're doing a good job. So that level of consistency moving forward for a couple of years was really important to me.
We can probably move on to another question while they're looking that up.
I just wasn't sure if that was to a particular type of claim or if it was across the board. Just a general question
Sure.
after
And
looking
my-
at the bill.
Yep, absolutely. And my apologies. My laptop, my iPad version is not as good as the old-fashioned hard copy, so thank you to Bryce Ambergy. Section 67 deals with any person who is aggrieved of a decision of the Horse Racing Corporation, newly formed, so that'll be licensees, applicants, anyone aggrieved of that decision can appeal in the county in which that applicant works or resides. So it's everything. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Senator Thomas.
My discussion is related to Senator Thayer. I want to get his attention and talk to him. Senator Thayer, I can see the merits of this bill. I do agree with you that I think the time has come to create the Kentucky Horse Racing and Gaming Corporation into a freestanding entity, much like the Public Service Commission. The fact that it now regulates HHR, it regulates sports gaming. It does a lot of important and expansive work here in Kentucky, and I support that. I also agree with you and the speaker that the body ought to be diverse, consisting of a number of different representative entities. full disclosure here, as you know, I own horse races, horse racing, and I'm involved in, as an owner, in the field of horse racing. And I also have two members who are on the Horse Racing Commission, my business partner being one of them, a close friend of mine being the other. And I applaud Governor Beshear and his appointees for making sure that in his move toward diversity of the Horse Racing Commission, he's also included racial diversity there. I think that's important here in the state of Kentucky. Having said all that, my only question, that, as you know, being the floor leader, and we working every day, from day one, I have made the comment there in the Senate that I want to make sure there's transparency, an opportunity for the public to vet everything that we do, and not rush legislation through the chamber, through the legislature, because I think that violates transparency and the public's ability to comment and address any bill we have. And so, like the comments made by Senator Fromeyer and by Representative Lafferty Tackett, this is a 282-page bill. And to come to us at the 56th day, we're in the 56th day of session now, seems to be a little late. What steps do you intend to take to make sure that this gets full public vetting and full public input before it's passed into law? That's my question to you.
Thank you, Senator Thomas. The three of us at the table here, like you, are all licensed by the Kentucky Horse Racing Commission as racehorse owners, although I haven't renewed my license yet this year. I've been a little busy. So we share that in common. But to answer your question, that's why we're doing this joint committee today. Senate Bill 299 is a shell bill with a title that's appropriate, an act relating to the Kentucky Horse Racing Authority. It has had 2 readings, and it was filed in the event something like this came up. And I do feel like the topic has been in the public domain now for a couple of weeks. There have been news stories written about my floor amendment to Senate Bill 3. So the concept has started its transparent journey a while back. We're just looking at various ways to get it done here before the end of the session. And you'll just have to decide whether the process is more important to you or the product. I think that the time has come for this commission to be an independent agency, much like the Kentucky Lottery Corporation. And I think the Speaker and his team have come up with a much better way forward than I came up with on Senate Bill 3. And that's why I agreed to let Senate Bill 299 be the vessel for this particular proposal. And I think it's an idea whose time has come. I think some independence is needed over there. The governor will be making these appointments in perpetuity. Whoever the governor is will still get the right to appoint these positions. But there's going to be more transparency, more integrity, more scrutiny, more diversity of backgrounds and talents and expertise brought to the fore, as it should be. And whether you voted for or against any of the bills that we've talked about here today related to sports betting or historical horse racing, I think we all agree that now that those items are the law of the land and working very well, by the way, it deserves to have a higher level of scrutiny and transparency when it comes to its regulation. It's going really well so far, but I think this brings in a heightened step to the regulatory process so that we can continue to be a nationwide leader in these areas for years to come.
Senator Boswell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think my first question has already been answered by Senator Thayer about the continuity of the board. And so my only question now, there was some mention about pay. Is this, just bring me up to date, are these paid positions on this or not?
No, just as they are now, they will be non-paid positions.
Thank you, that's it.
Representative Bratcher.
Yes, sir. Impressive legislation here. I just wanted to ask about how does this compare to what the other states are doing, especially in the like maybe Florida and some of the other ones that are real big in the equine industry?
You know, there's the racing or the regulation of gaming across the country is very varied. And the thing that I think that is important to acknowledge here is when we were strictly dealing with horse racing, it was easy to have non-competing interest. But the fact of the matter is that horse racing and gaming and sports betting are not necessarily compatible interests. Sometimes they have conflicting needs and wants. The one thing that is not conflicting about it is the regulation. Every bit of gaming should be conducted at the highest degree of integrity and with the deepest scrutiny. There are most of the diverse gaming states that do have a broad portfolio of gaming products, do have them under a common umbrella that are, most of those are independent entities. We've actually looked to NCSL for some models on it. There are very few states that are as dominated by horse racing as Kentucky is. So frankly, the horse racing portion of this commission is a little more weighted than the gaming portion of it is. And I think it's important to strike that balance. But most of them have unified racing commissions or gaming commissions to oversee all of their gaming activities.
I'd just like to add real quickly, you mentioned Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disaster. They don't even have a horse racing commission down there.
Wow.
It's one of the leading breeding states and racing states in the country. So the short answer is Kentucky will lead the way on the regulation of horse racing.
One more comment.
Yes, sir.
I guess my question is, unlike Senator Thomas, I think we should move forward today. I mean, I don't understand why we're not voting on this today. I mean, this is progressive. It's putting Kentucky out there, number one, and leading the way. So,
actually, half of you, I believe, will vote on it today. This was a way to try to bring as much public light to this as possible, expose as many members of it, of the body to it as quickly as possible. So this bill currently resides in the Senate Economic Development Committee. So the Senate committee will actually be voting on it today, as I understand, and pass it out. They will pass it to us. If there are any changes, which, as I said, there's already been one suggestion from Charitable Gaming that asked us to tweak some language. So there likely will be a few minor changes. We will then probably later this week pass it out of the House Economic Development Committee and move forward from there.
thank you, Speaker, and thank you, Chair.
Representative Gentry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first of all, I'd like to say, Senator Thayer, thank you for talking about not pursuing moving into the Department of Agriculture. I appreciate that. It was good to hear this morning. And
You got to take your chance when you got your chance, Representative Gentry. and now I can say with a straight face that this issue has been out in the public domain before today.
Yes, and Representative Osborne, you made a statement earlier about we tend to be very slow with our gaming expansion, and you know as well as I do that I think we're real slow in our gaming expansion. I can't wait for the day when we go into facilities, and I'm not a machine guy that much, but love to be able to throw some dice and play some cards. So. And I know you, I don't know you want to hear
this
that right now.
This does not authorize that. I want to make it clear. That requires a constitutional amendment, Representative Gentry.
I understand that, but hopefully I'll be around to continue to push that car up the hill. But anyway, no, from a serious standpoint, guys, Kentucky, as you know, I sit on Illinois and have since I've been here and been heavily involved in gaming. You know I'm going to say something when gaming is the issue here, and what a lot of people maybe on economic development don't understand is Kentucky is a little different. You know, Kentucky does have an industry that is number one in the world. We're talking about racing and breeding that we have to protect. It's a signature industry, so our whole entire equine industry is important. And And even though I've been pushing expanded gaming ever since I've been here, you got to do it a certain way in this state to protect that commodity that we have, because it's too vital from an economic development standpoint to the state. And I will always try, although I will continue to push, I will always keep that in mind because I believe in it 100%. However, this particular bill, first of all, I want to applaud you guys for stepping up and putting some integrity into our gaming industry here in the state. It's needed. There's a lot in here. I haven't had a chance really to go through everything that's in here. I'll continue. I was up late last night trying to get through it, but I think maybe the challenging part is dealing with charitable, because charitable is different than regular gaming. It's different from a tax standpoint. It's different from a whatever language you want to say, whether it's a take or a minimum profit standards that you got to have in charitable gaming. So there's some different things there. So I really want to stress the importance of moving slow and methodically, if you can believe that, when we handle the charitable aspect over the next year as we promulgate regulations, because there's things we need to pay attention to and make sure we do that right. My question, I guess, is, and it's kind of related to that, and maybe this doesn't apply, but just to give you an example, some of the things that are kind of going through my brain is, are we going to make sure we have policies in place where for-profit entities don't start nonprofit entities and take advantage of higher takes or higher profits under charitable or charitable rules. And I don't know if I'm making myself clear on that, but can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, Representative Gentry, I don't believe that this bill really speaks to that. Certainly, anything that is currently in reg in charitable gaming will be stayed for at least until July of 25, and that was one of the reasons. And it was at the suggestion of the governor's office that we hold on that. Have had considerable conversations back and forth with folks around charitable gaming, and want to make sure we get that part right. And so I do think, as much as I believe it's appropriate to have every form of gaming under the same level playing field of regulation and integrity, standards of integrity, I do believe that there are certain differences that separate charitable gaming from other types of gaming that need special consideration. So we don't need to move too quickly and need to take this next year and 2 months and use it very productively and valuably to make the right decisions and take input from everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the answer. And I guess I'll just reiterate, yeah, I'm 100% behind you on that. I think this is an area that has a few challenges in it that we need to go slowly on and make sure that we do it right. Thank you very much.
And I think this will be good for charitable gaming to be on the same footing as horse racing, sports betting. I think it should be treated equally. And I'm someone who's sold pull tabs to help raise money for my kids' Catholic school. And let me tell you, you haven't lived until you've sold pull tabs at a Catholic bingo hall on a Saturday night. So I want to see charitable gaming do its original legislative intent and help raise money for the appropriate charities. And I think this will help in the delayed implementation of it, though I think is a contemplative way forward that we should all embrace. And you all, I won't be here next year, but you all can tweak it next year if it's seen, kind of like the medical marijuana bill, which gave us an extra year to implement. You'll have another chance to have another bite at that apple if necessary.
Representative Cole Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Leader Thayer, you answered a couple of my questions earlier on with regard to the continuity of the commission members. I just wanted to understand the timing of it. So I know that we're going to abolish the current commission, and you mentioned there was going to be a 2-year lead time to retain those current members. I wanted to understand if there was a date certain by which those members would be replaced, or what is the criteria there?
I'm going to defer to the speaker on that, but the continuity was important to me. And the speaker said, we'll do it for 2 years. And I said, that's great. That works for me. Do you?
Sorry, 2024.
The board that exists as of January 1, 2024, all terms will be extended for 2 years. Now, should there be vacancies that happen on the board, they will be subject to the new standards of the board. But the existing board, as it existed as of January 1, 2024, will be extended 2 years.
Thank you. Brief follow-up. Thank you, Speaker. My only other question is who, and you probably have alluded to this before, and I apologize if I missed it, but who comes up with a list for the new membership moving forward?
That will be basically the guardrails put around the governor's selections. It will not, like on some boards, we have a list of accountants submitted by the Board of CPAs. That this does not have that type of requirement. It just says when it says someone that has gaming experience and technical knowledge in gaming, those they would just put guardrails up around what that specific seat shall be qualified to be able to speak knowledgeably on.
Thank you.
So it'll be the governor and the office of boards and commissions to come up with those, and then there'll be a full second round of vetting through the Senate confirmation process.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Camuel.
Hi, yes, thank you. Thank you for this bill. It's a lot to take in. But I wondered if I could follow up on Rep. Tackett-Lafferty's question about Section 67 on 182.
Yes.
And it's probably a simple question, but I'm just trying to understand it. What is the purpose in changing the location for appeals to be filed? I would think for consistency and streamlining, to keep it in one location might be best. But
Right. Yeah, I just was saying. So, I'm sorry. To answer your question, the idea is that those persons who are aggrieved, it is more convenient for them to file in the area where they live or work.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And Senator Funky Fromeyer, I'm circling back around to you one more time here.
Thank you. I feel like I'm finishing where I started. The recognition of the high level of integrity for the Racing Commission, and I absolutely respect that. What I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around, and much like Leader Thayer, I've sold a lot of pull tabs in my days, and I still have one in school. But how would this benefit charitable gaming, or is there a potential that perhaps we rolled something in that maybe isn't needed? Maybe perhaps would you be open to a floor amendment to roll it back out? Because I'm not quite sure of the real benefit. How is that going to be beneficial to us in Kentucky?
I don't see how there can be any negative impact on bringing integrity to gaming.
Oh, agreed. And I'm not minimizing the importance of integrity.
That increasing the integrity and transparency of any gaming entity is an advantage.
But I'm not tying in, I see of the 15 board members that 2 may have some charitable knowledge. I'm just wondering if we're minimizing the importance of having more emphasis on the charitable gaming, and it's sort of an aside to the very important horse aspect of this. So it just feels like it might be minimizing it.
I don't think it does. Certainly, that is a conversation for you and Leader Thayer to have while the bill is in the Senate. I think that charitable is very well represented. As of right now, there's nobody in charitable gaming that is subject to background checks or Senate confirmation to serve on any board that is free from influence.
Senator Funky Fromeyer, gambling is a highly regulated industry, as it should be, just like the alcohol industry. And it should protect the good actors and weed out the bad ones. And bringing a higher level of scrutiny and integrity and transparency to charitable gaming will do exactly that. And that's a good thing.
Okay, final question, Representative King.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Chair. We clearly are going to have a House committee substitute, it sounds like, for House committee consideration. What is the very earliest I can have that language if it's going to be 280-ish pages? You know, I'm a nerd. I really do want to read it. If it's going to be the version I need to make a decision on. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and we will make every attempt to get a red line version as soon as there are any changes that are contemplated. And also want to offer to any member of the House the same suggestion that I had for Senator Funky Fromeyer, is if there are any recommendations of House members after seeing this, digesting it, things that you would like to have considered, the language items that you want maybe to talk further about, have tightened up, certainly willing to have those conversations as quickly as you all would like to do those, and would encourage that sooner than later.
Okay, thank you all for the discussion. We have one person signed up to speak if they would like to come forward, and that is Mike Mulrooney. And please excuse me if I've mispronounced that, but did you want to speak with the discussion only or on in the Senate committee? Okay. Come forward. Please state your name for the record. If you don't care, make sure your green light's on and the mic's pulled close, and state your name for the record.
My name is Mike Mulrooney, and I'm the founder of an organization called Shirley's Way. I was listening to the bill recommendation, and thank you so much for letting me come to speak today. We founded Shirley's Way in 2013 when my mom passed away from cancer. Before she died, many people came by to have a last visit. And often the discussion turned to people who were sick with cancer that couldn't afford basic everyday necessities of life. And I'm talking while they're sick, they can't work. So they still have the mortgage to pay. They still got to pay their rent. They got to pay their utilities. And often it puts people in situations that they can't get out of while they're sick. And if they're terminal, it's even worse because the burden goes to their families when they die. So as they wheeled my mother out on the gurney, I promised her we would do something different. And I wasn't sure what that was going to be. But we decided to start raising money to help people who are sick with cancer, with a long-term plan of doing things kid-related and helping others in the community. So I don't know if you've ever raised money before, but raising money in the charitable world is very, very difficult. Unless you have a seat at the table at executive branches of companies, you're probably not going to get the large donations that you need to have the impact that you're wanting to have on the community. So after time, when I promised my mom that, I thought about it for a while. So we did start a 501c3. I started asking for donations, and we did several events, which is very, very time consuming. And I've got an IT background. So we did a big raffle several years ago, and it went really well. It brought the community together. Well, somebody came in and said, you really need to look at these new machines. They're called electronic pull tab machines. So we did, and we were sold, and we went through the legal process with the Department of Charitable Gaming and got the machines put into place and started raising money to help people who were sick with cancer. They started doing so well that we were able to start putting some machines in some different locations. So what we've done is we've partnered with locations, bars typically, that were struggling because of the COVID impact. And so when we put machines in places, we work with the owners to help them along the way. So the gaming machines are actually helping local businesses as well. We do have some heartache over this bill because it is moving charitable gaming under the new corporation that would be developed. I'm a lifelong Kentuckian. I love horse racing. I firmly believe we have to protect that industry in the state, but we also have to protect our charities. It's been brought up about church picnics and fish fries. Those won't be impacted by this bill, but the people that operate electronic pull tab machines will probably be affected. More than likely will be affected because you're moving us under an industry that probably doesn't care too much for what we're doing and looks at us as a competitor. Bingos are dying. We're not generating new bingo players. The church picnics and the fish fries and the festivals, they're dying. People aren't going to these for safety concerns. And the electronic pull tabs have opened up an entire new way for charities to raise the revenue that they need to hit their missions in the community. And we've expanded our scope. So with charitable gaming, it's allowed us to expand on things that we do in the community. And we are doing a lot with schools, little leagues. Still, our primary mission is people who are sick with cancer. But there's so many things that need funding in this community, in this state, and charitable gaming can provide that if we're allowed to continue to do what we're doing. And I got a list of things. I was going to read them off here, but we'd be here for 2 hours of things that we've done in the community. But some simple things. We had a little league that couldn't continue the league because they needed a pitcher's mound. We funded that. We've got kids that want to play sports, but their parents don't have the money for the equipment. I was one of those kids. I wanted to play football when I was a kid. My parents wouldn't let me. Come to find out, they didn't have the money to buy me a helmet. Kids should not be told they cannot participate in extracurricular activities because of funding. So we've helped buy football helmets for Little League kids, gloves, cleats, things like that people need. We've supported a couple local ministries by providing food. We've recently, because funding was cut for a major corporation in Louisville called Blessings in the Backpack, funding was cut. 14 schools were cut from their program. Shirley's Way picked it up, and we are now feeding, because of electronic pull tab machines, we are now feeding about 2,300 kids every weekend and sending food to them.
Sir?
Yes.
I'm not trying to cut you off, but we're approaching 1 hour.
Yes.
So probably about three more minutes, if you could, we'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
sir.
can wrap it up by saying, please, let's reconsider moving charitable gaming under this corporation. While I think it's probably got some benefits, I really think we deserve a seat at the table to discuss how it benefits the community. Shirley's Way has become, as of last year, the #1 charitable gaming charity in the state. And I really feel like we have a lot of knowledge and can help elaborate on what could be done with the charitable gaming function. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time. If I have any questions, I don't know if there's time for that.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your presentation. We appreciate you being here today. Members, very good discussion. We do, Representative Camille. Very briefly, we're on 1 hour right now, and members need to be moving.
Thank you. Mr. Mulroney, I've got a very quick question for you, and part of this will be for my own clarification so I understand the difference. Can you tell me what the difference is between your electronic pull tab machines and gray machines?
Ours are highly regulated. The payouts are set by the Charitable Gaming Commission of Kentucky. From what I understand, the skill games are not regulated, and you could set a skill game in a location unless it's from one of your major distributors. A lot of people are buying these skill games on Amazon and setting them up and making tons of money, but the electronic pull tabs are based on pull tab technology, and they're highly regulated by the state. We're licensed appropriately with the Department of Charitable Gaming on operating these machines.
Members, thank you all very much for discussion. Chair Wise, would you like to make an announcement to the Senate members?
Senate members need to stay put as we look forward to the passage of the bill. So House members at this time, Representative Branscombe, if you need a motion for adjournment for the House.
And this time, there being no further business before the joint committee, we are adjourned.
Welcome to the 8th meeting of the 2024 session on the Senate Standing Committee on Economic Development, Labor, and Tourism. For those in the audience, if you would, please silence your cell phones as we conduct our business today. It looks like we do have a quorum, but Sasha, if you would, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell. Senator Funky Fromeyer. Senator Gardler. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Howell. Senator Mills. Senator Storm.
Here.
Senator Thomas. Senator Wheeler. Senator Wilson. Chairman Wise.
Present. We do have a quorum to constitute to do business today. We do have presented in front of us Senate Bill 299, which excellent discussion already on the bill. We do have a committee sub. Do we have a motion?
Motion on the sub.
We have a motion. We have a second on the sub. All those in favor of accepting the sub, please do so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion on the bill.
We have a motion by Senator Wheeler. We have a second by Senator Mills. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, Sasha, please call the roll.
Senator Boswell. Senator Funky Fromeyer. Senator Gardler. Senator Harper Angel. Senator Howell.
Explain my aye vote.
Please proceed.
Couple of things. I really appreciate y'all doing this. I agree that with everything in play money-wise, we really need to make sure that we've got this regulated properly. The only thing that I really questioned in the entire thing was from something from you, Mr. Speaker. I thought that Leader Thayer was incredibly brief compared to the way he normally is. So I just wanted to defend my fellow member there with you.
Senator Mills.
Aye.
Senator Storm.
Aye.
Senator Thomas.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to explain my aye vote.
Please proceed.
I do agree with Senator Thayer's point that it's time to reconstitute the Kentucky Horse Racing and Gaming Corporation. It has taken on considerable prominence in the state now. And given all that what it does, it needs to be, as I said earlier, a freestanding committee. I am going to vote, though, Mr. Chair, because as I've articulated from day one here, that process is important. And despite the comment made earlier about how we need to rush this through, I take the position, the policy from the very beginning, that the public should be informed, and the public should be given the opportunity to weigh in on anything that we do, that we shouldn't do anything under cover of night or with alacrity that prevents the public from having input in what we say or do. And so for that reason, I am going to vote for this bill, but at the appropriate time, I am going to make a motion that we delay bringing this to the floor, because I think that's rushing this bill through and not giving the public sufficient time to vet it.
Senator Wheeler.
Aye.
Senator Wilson. Aye. Chairman Wise.
Aye. Senate Bill 299 is amended, passes with favorable expression. We will not be putting the bill on consent and allowing Senator Thayer also to speak on the bill. We did have a pass vote that was there. We do have a title amendment. If I can have a motion. Motion by Senator Storm, a second by Senator Wheeler. All those in favor of accepting the title amendment, do so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I also want to compliment the nice purple ties out there today for Holy Week as well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Look
Mr.
very
Chairman.
nice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Motion to adjourn. So moved.